Welcome to another epic Yu-Gi-Oh deck guide. Today, we're diving into one of the most tactical and trap-heavy decks in the game, none other than the Rescue Ace. Rescue Ace is a powerful lineup of fire warrior and machine monsters built around controlling the game through quick effects and loaded back row. The core of the deck uses Rescue Ace Turbulence and Hydrant to set up traps and search key pieces. It plays like a control deck, but with explosive mid-game turns once your engine starts running. So if you're looking for a deck that shuts down your opponent with traps and keeps recycling its plays, Rescue Ace is the deck for you. First, let's start breaking down the monster lineup. Hydrant is your core combo piece and the most important monster in the deck. It lets you activate your Rescue Ace spell traps the turn they're set, and it boosts their effects while it's on the field. Hydrant is best protected by summoning it after you control another Rescue Ace, so its protection effect is alive. However, it has only 500 attack and is a huge target for cards like Imperm or Veiler, so don't just summon it recklessly. Turbulence is your main win condition and combo payoff. It can set up to 4 Rescue Ace spell traps from your deck all at once, without triggering Ash Blossom or Droll. Best played turn 1 with full combo. It also destroys a card on the field if your back row gets popped. However, Turbulence is a brick on its own, so you need setup to bring it out safely. Fire Engine is your free extender and field swarmer. It special summons itself when another Rescue Ace monster is summoned, then it special summons another name from hand, deck, or yugioh. It's great for building boards, getting Hydrant access, or reviving key monsters like Airlifter. However, it doesn't do anything on its own, so it's better in mid-combo or paired with another name. Fire Attacker is your draw engine and extender. It special summons itself when your opponent adds a card from deck to hand, and when it does, you can draw 2 cards then discard one. It helps you cycle into combo pieces and pressure your opponent during their search-heavy turns. However, it requires your opponent to search, and drawing it early without setup isn't ideal. Airlifter is your spell searcher and combo starter. It adds any Rescue Ace spell from your deck to hand on normal or special summon, and it can also summon a Rescue Ace from your hand when your opponent activates a monster effect. It's a strong turn 1 opener and good for setting up combos into Turbulence. However, it doesn't do much alone if you have no other Rescue Ace monsters to follow up with. Impulse is your defensive tech and emergency extender. It can negate effects of face-up monsters during the main phase, and if your opponent activates a monster effect, it summons a machine Rescue Ace directly from your deck. Great against combo decks to disrupt mid-chain or cheat out Turbulence or Monitor. However, it negates all face-up monster effects, even your own, so time it wisely. Monitor is your trap searcher and recursion piece. On normal or special summon, it adds a Rescue Ace trap from deck to hand, and later it can revive a Rescue Ace from your yugioh. It's perfect for recovering Hydrant or looping back your combo pieces. However, Monitor doesn't help you start combos on its own. You'll want to summon it off Fire Engine or Impulse. Thrion King is your negate boss and tech extender. It equips a machine from your yugioh to special summon itself, and it has an Omni negate by sending itself to the yugioh. If you equip Hydrant, your Rescue Ace spells and traps will still see it as on field for their effects. However, Regulus isn't searchable in this deck and is dead if you don't have a machine in yugioh. Kurikara Divincarnate is your side deck boss monster for going second. It tributes your opponent's activated effect monsters and special summons itself, then gains attack per tribute monster. You can search it via Small World or recycle it with Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf if you play that. However, it's more of a meta call, and it's only good against decks that end on multiple effect monsters. Gizmek Naganaki is your extra Hydrant searcher. On normal summon, it adds any machine with equal attack and defense from deck to hand, perfect for grabbing Hydrant. It also has a hidden effect that retrieves a face-down banished machine with equal attack defense, which is useful in matchups like Kashtira. However, it's only good as a normal summon, and it doesn't help much past the opening turn. Now, let's move on to the spells and traps. Rescue Ace HQ is your main field spell and central hub for your plays. It gives you an extra normal summon for Rescue Ace monsters and lets you recycle your banished Rescue Ace spells, traps, or monsters. Use it to extend your combos or recover Hydrant if it gets banished. However, it doesn't do anything on its own if you don't already have other Rescue Ace cards in play. Rescue is your monster reborn for Rescue Ace. It lets you special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your yugioh, and if you control Hydrant, you can instead steal a monster from your opponent's yugioh. It's a great way to extend or disrupt, especially mid or late game. However, without Hydrant, its effect is more defensive than offensive. Alert is your recovery tool for monsters. It adds a Rescue Ace monster from your GUI to your hand, or from deck to hand if Hydrant is on the field. This is a great follow-up play to search Turbulence or recover Hydrant. However, like most RAC spells, it's only great if you control Hydrant, so it's not always alive. 1-for-1 is your combo starter to get straight to Hydrant. You discard a monster to special summon Rescue Ace Hydrant from your deck. It's a 1-card enabler for your core engine and worth running even at 1. However, it's a dead draw if you don't have any monsters in hand to discard. Reinforcement of the Army is your Warrior Searcher. It grabs Airlifter for spell access, or Impulse if you want disruption. It's a consistent way to find a combo starter with minimal cost. However, it only searches level 4 or lower warriors, so it's not helpful mid-combo or for bigger plays. Pot of Prosperity is your dig tool for key combo pieces. You can banish 3 or 6 cards from your extra deck to excavate and choose a missing card from the top of your deck. It's perfect to find Hydrant, Turbulence, or any Rescue Ace spell trap early. However, it halves your damage that turn and locks you out of drawing more cards that turn. Pot of Extravagance is your pure draw power. You banish 6 random extra deck cards to draw 2 cards, helping refill your hand. You don't rely much on your extra deck, so it's a free one in most games. However, you must activate it at the start of main phase 1, and you can't choose what you banish. Pyre Reese Map is your quick Hydrant searcher. You pay half your LP to add any monster with 0 attack like Hydrant from your deck to hand. It's a 1-card combo enabler and works well going first. However, you can't use the searched monsters effect unless it's normal summoned, which can conflict with other special summon effects. Small World is your ultimate consistency piece. It lets you banish a monster from your hand and a bridge monster from your deck to add any Rescue Ace monster you want. Since most RAC monsters share only fire attribute but differ in level, type, and stats, it gives tons of options. However, learning Small World bridges takes some practice, and it can be awkward if your hand lacks diversity. Contain is your hard monster negation. It targets and negates a monster's effects and stops it from attacking. If you control Hydrant, it also locks that monster from being used as extra deck material. It's perfect for shutting down boss monsters and combo starters alike. However, it targets, so it's not great against untargetable monsters or cards that dodge targeting. Extinguish is your main removal trap. It destroys a monster your opponent controls, and if you control Hydrant, that monster and any cards with the same name can't activate effects for the rest of the turn. It's great for outing monsters with floating effects or GY triggers. However, it needs Hydrant to really shine, and it doesn't help against unaffected monsters. Reinforce is your power-up trap and recovery tool. It boosts one of your monsters by 1500 attack defense for the turn, then lets you reset a Rescue Ace spell trap from your GY. You can even use both effects in the same turn, which helps maintain your back row control. However, it's a win more card in some hands, and the stat buff isn't always enough to stop threats alone. And last but not the least, let's move on to the extra deck. Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf is your starter link monster for your Fire Link climb plays. It lets you set up your GY and becomes material for Promethean Princess, which is crucial for your main combo route. Use it early to begin cycling fire monsters and get to your power plays fast. However, it doesn't provide any disruption or major utility on its own. Promethean Princess is your mid-combo extender and fire control tool. It can summon itself back from the GY and destroy a fire monster you control to also destroy a card your opponent controls, if they special summon. Best paired with Amblohail to trigger its GY effect and extend further. However, you need proper setup and timing to make her effect live. Amblohail is your combo recycler and bonus popper. When destroyed, it lets you revive a Link 3 or lower monster, and it can banish itself from GY to pop a card when that happens. Use it as the destroy target for Promethean Princess to get a free Link 3 back like Sunlight Wolf. However, it's mostly dead in hand and only shines when properly set up in GY. Underworld Goddess is your board-breaking boss monster. It lets you use an opponent's monster as link material, and it can negate a special summon once per turn. Great for clearing floodgates or towers while managing your own zones. However, it needs 4 materials, so you need a decent field to bring her out. Access Code Talker is your main game finisher. It gains massive attack based on its materials and can destroy multiple cards without your opponent responding. Climb into it with a Link 3 for 5,300 attack and multiple pops. Perfect to end the duel. However, it doesn't offer disruption if you're going first, so it's only for closing games. Linkuriboh is your utility Link 1 for Hydrant. It lets you send Rescue Ace Hydrant to the GY to set up Turbulence if you're one card short to banish. It's also an easy way to trigger Hydrant's GY effect later in the combo. However, it's only useful early or in awkward hands, and is a weak body. Haida the Fire Charmer Ablaze is your fire attribute extender and niche tech. She can revive fire monsters like Ash Blossom from your opponent's GY to climb into synchro plays, mostly used to enable Excel Synchron when you're low on resources. However, it's very situational and doesn't do much if there are no good fire targets in GYs. Masquerena is your defensive link, 2 for flexible interruption. It lets you link summon on your opponent's turn into something like Underworld Goddess, making it great for grindy duels. Use her when you can't go full combo but still want to apply pressure. However, it doesn't do anything on its own and needs setup to be useful. Barricade Board Blocker is your setup link, 2 to enable Auroradon plays. Once summoned, it opens your combo into Excel Synchron, which gives you access to Arc Light and Dawn Dragster, a key piece when you want to focus on synchro-based end boards. However, it has no disruption or real power by itself. The main goal of Rescue Ace is to set up Turbulence and Hydrant, then flood the back row with spells and traps that stop your opponent's plays. Once set up, the deck recycles cards from the GY and Banished Zone to repeat the process until your opponent runs out of resources. You need starting cards like Airlifter and Monitor to search your spells and traps. Hydrant is the heart of your engine, while Turbulence is the boss monster that sets 4 back row cards from the deck. You also need to set up Rescue Ace HQ, the field spell that recycles your Banished and GY cards each turn. Extenders like Fire Engine and Fire Attacker help you get more bodies on the field for link plays or activating Turbulence faster. To secure your board, your ideal setup is Hydrant plus Turbulence, with your RAC spell traps set directly from the deck. With Hydrant on the field, your spells and traps become even stronger, offering GY negates and material locks. However, Rescue Ace also has its weaknesses. Rescue Ace is weak against decks like Mikanko, which reflect battle damage and ignore targeting. Labyrinth can outgrind you in a back row war and outpace your trap recursion. Flunderies punishes special summons and doesn't rely on extra deck monsters. Dragon Link can combo through interruptions and end on boss monsters you can't easily remove. Kashtira is also tough, especially when it locks your back row zones with Shangara. Rescue Ace is also weak against cards like Evenly Matched, which wipes your back row if you overextend. Skill Drain turns off your monster's effects, especially Turbulence and Hydrant. Harpy's Feather Duster is devastating when your board is all back row. And Droll Lockbird can stop your crucial search chains mid-combo. To deal with these threats, tech in Solemn Judgment or Dark Bribe to stop blowout cards like Feather Duster or Evenly Matched. Use Book of Moon or Forbidden Droplet to dodge Skill Drain or slow down boss monsters like Shangara. Cosmic Cyclone is great for clearing floodgates like Anti-Spell Fragrance. Dimensional Barrier can shut down decks like Dragon Link or Mikanko by calling the right type. And to keep your engine safe, Called by the Grave can stop things like Ghost Bell or DD Crow from blocking your recursion. To end the duel, pressure your opponent with repeated trap activations, while summoning Fire Engine and Fire Attacker to go for game. Once your opponent runs out of plays, use your Revive Turbulence or Link monsters to push for lethal damage. Just make sure you've played around Disruption. If you can avoid getting countered, you're gonna assure your flawless victory. Therefore, Rescue Ace is a modern control deck with a unique identity, fueled by quick effect spells, powerful traps, and consistent recursion. It's perfect for duelists who enjoy locking down the field, outgrinding opponents, and building an unstoppable wall of fire-fueled defense. So if you're looking to get into modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, this is the perfect time to check out this amazing deck and compete in real tournaments. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.